and welcome to the Moonshine Jesus Show. It's good to be with you after a couple weeks away. We are brought to you, as always, by the Center for Progressive Christianity, a wonderful place to get all your progressive Christian resource needs, and an organization that is leading the movement on progressive Christianity. Also by the Christian Left, a nationwide ministry and community for Christian progressives and allies, and the Progressive Christian Alliance, a denomination that brings together the principles of justice, respect, and inclusion. Today we're talking about Wicked for Good, and I am joined as always by the one and only Mark Sandlin. How you doing today, Mark?
I'm doing very well. How about yourself, Caleb?
I am doing great, and I am ready to talk about Wicked for Good.
Oh,
but
yeah.
here's the thing. If you
Yeah.
haven't seen it, we're going to be spoiling it. But I mean, honestly, there's not a lot to spoil that you wouldn't
Yeah,
have known about if you had seen the musical or read the book. And
absolutely.
the
Yeah.
musical's been around for a long time. I think
Quite a
Wicked is
while.
fair game, don't you?
I think it should be, yeah. But,
Yeah.
we're being kind by giving a spoiler warning anyway.
Yes.
But,
Because
there
we're
should
kind
be,
people.
does
We're
seem like there's
generous
a
people.
time spanned on spoilers, right? It's like, it's been long enough that this should not be a spoiler.
I think so. I think so. It's kind of like I was preaching on Les Mis earlier
Yeah.
this year. I'm like, okay, this story has been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
well over 100 years. I think it's
Yeah.
game. I think it's fair game.
Yeah. Should be
But
game.
before
Yeah.
we get into
Mm,
spoiling this movie for people, we
indeed.
need some beverages. Do you have
Mm.
one?
I do, and it's a very simple one. I'm calling it the For Good Old Fashioned, and it's nothing
Oh,
more than an old fashioned that's made with melon liqueur, so it gets that nice Elphaba green kind of going on. So
yeah,
I'm
that's
having a
good.
For Good Old Fashioned. How about you? What did you decide to go with?
I am having a drink that I'm calling the Oz. I also
Ooh,
use some melon liqueur to get that nice
of
flavor of green,
course,
and
absolutely,
and vodka, a little bit of vodka. The green's not
lovely.
quite coming through
Okay,
in
that's all
the
right. That's all
camera.
right. I can tell. I can tell. It's going to be lovely. I'm looking
It
forward to
will
this
be.
discussion, man.
Absolutely, it's going to be fun. So, cheers, Mark.
Moonshine Jesus, moonshine Jesus, moonshine Jesus, moonshine Jesus, won't you shine a light?
Hello, and welcome back to the Moonshine Jesus Show. Uh, like we were talking about, this has been around for a while, so I'm not going to go deep into any kind of this is what it's about. If you have to know at this point. I mean, this is the remake of a book that was made into a musical stage show. This is part 2 of the stage show where we follow the good witch and the wicked witch. At least in name, through their relationship and trying to figure out how to exist in this world where certain folks are marginalized, in particular groups of folks that those with power are trying to shut down. I'm curious though, did you watch this with your kids?
I watched it with my oldest daughter.
Okay,
Yes.
that's what I was hoping. What was her review?
So she liked it, and she was super into the first part. I will say that as it went on, the second part, and she's into it. I mean, she's watched the media
Yeah.
around it and stuff. But by the time we were getting towards the end of the movie, she did turn to me and say, "Dad, is this almost done? I'm a little bored." So she loved it. She was into it. It was a little long for her.
Yeah, yeah,
So which
which is
sounds
interesting.
similar to something I've heard from critics as well.
Right. Well, it's interesting because isn't this one slightly shorter than the first one?
I,
So it's
it
it's
is slightly shorter.
it's
Yeah.
but a lot of folks are talking about it felt a little long. So
Yeah.
continuing on that thought,
Yeah.
how do you think it held up compared to part 1?
Well, as I was sitting there watching it, I think the thing hit me that I guess always hits me whenever I watch Wicked, the stage production of Wicked
Yeah.
is I'm like, I think part of me just likes the first half better. Like
Well, yeah,
the first act better because it's like most of the memorable songs are in the first act. And every time I watch Wicked, I don't know why. It's just like when I think of Wicked, I think of the first act and I'm like, oh yeah, all the stuff about Dorothy and the characters are all
right,
here. And then
right,
I'm always like, wait, what songs are in the second act? Oh yeah, for good, of course, for
right, of
good.
course. But then
And
what?
but and wonderful, the wizard singing
Yeah,
wonderful. But like, I think that's always kind of my impression. So I think that, and I guess I was thinking too, like, okay, could this have been one movie? And I
yeah,
guess my thought is that for the first act, like that all needed to be one movie.
yeah,
But the second act, I guess I'm not sure that the added songs,
yeah.
the new pieces, I'm not sure that that added much other than runtime. And
Okay,
so
all
I
right.
I liked the second half. I don't think it was as strong as the first movie.
I think
My
that's
own
Yeah, I
opinion.
think that's really fair, and I think even for the stage show, that's usually how people feel about it.
Yeah.
The songs are much more sing-alongable in the first part, and
Yeah.
then the second part, they're great songs. They're fantastic songs, as a
Yeah.
matter of fact, but they're not the kind that have lyrics that kind of come naturally, or a melody that feels like you can't help it but sing along with it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying people don't sing along with it. They're great songs, but in comparison, it's
Yeah.
just not quite the same. I also think it suffers from particularly folks who maybe had not seen the stage show.
Yeah.
Um, in the first movie, you get all of this like cool settings and new
Yeah.
places,
Yeah.
and when we moved to part two, we really didn't, outside of Elphaba's kind of lair, we didn't
Yeah.
really have any new visuals in terms of spaces that they were occupying and doing things
Right.
in. It just felt kind of the same.
Back
We
to
didn't
Munchkin
get
Land. Back to
Exactly.
Emerald
Yeah,
City.
exactly.
Elphaba's
We didn't get a
lair.
lot of
Yeah.
new characters, whereas in the
Right.
first one, we were constantly being introduced to new characters, and by the time they'd
Yeah.
already kind of tipped their hat enough that by the time we got introduced to the Tin Man and to Scarecrow, we kind of were expecting that to happen. So
Right.
I think that that's part of the issue here.
Yeah.
I will say though, I completely disagree about the two new songs.
You liked them. You were
I,
there for 'em.
I came into the movie not happy that they had put in two new songs,
Yeah.
even though they'd gotten one of the original writers to make the music. But I was like, oh, come on. You're kind of like disparaging the
Yeah.
stage show, and that's really the heart of all of this. No, I thought each of those songs really moved each character along in a way that only a movie would allow you to do that.
Mm.
It was so important in the motivation of Elphaba and kind of letting you understand what she's doing and why she's doing it, the fight that she was willing to fight here. I loved that part of it. And I really thought that the girl in the bubble, I thought I was not going to care for it,
Yeah.
but I, Ariana
You were there.
Grande, the role that she did,
Yeah.
particularly even in just that song, you
Yeah.
felt her character move from being in one state of mind to an entirely
Mm.
new understanding of what had happened to her, how she'd got sucked in, and the issues it had caused, and her willingness to do something about it. I'm not sure that the movie would be as successful, particularly
Mm.
without that song, but maybe without both of them. I don't know.
You know, I think one of the things you're speaking to too is just how skilled Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo are
Oh, wow.
I mean as musicians, as actresses, and in these particular roles. And
Yeah.
so I mean maybe that's part of it, is that just those are places where those two really had a chance to
Yeah.
shine individually too.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
that
absolutely.
we didn't see quite as much of that in the first half. It's a lot of
Yeah, I
duets and
agree.
things. And so I do think that their performances are so strong, and
Oh,
that I think I've come to a place where I prefer them in these characters over Idina
Who would-
Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth.
And
And
who would
that's
have
hard.
ever?
That's hard to
Yeah,
do.
who would have ever thought that? I mean, going into all this, I thought Cynthia Erivo. I knew she was a great actress. I knew that she was just going to kill it, and I felt like, particularly in the first movie, before the first movie, I really felt like Ariana Grande was sort of like the pop culture casting, so that you get more numbers and more people,
Right.
and she'd be fine, but it wasn't going to be the same.
Right.
Oh my gosh, she just tore. I mean, she's one of those rare pop music stars who has fully made the transition to movie star. I mean,
she's
her
she's
skill set
fantastic.
is crazy.
And I mean, a 4-octave vocal range, that is insane. It is insane. So, very skilled. They're both incredible. Although, I mean, I guess like this too, both the songs you're talking about their motivation are also very serious songs.
Very
and
much
I guess maybe that's part of it too. That with the movies, with the movies being divided, it's like separating the first and second act. And I think the first act is there is kind of a political overtone and all, but it's also very lighthearted. And
everything, all the songs are positive, and kind of they might have a little hint of an underside, but yeah, it is a much brighter, happier.
Yes. And so when they're disconnected, I guess, it also feels like the second movie is very heavy, and you don't have the lighthearted piece. You've got the wonderful that the wizard sings, and this one it's a duet with Glinda, but it's not as strong as like Popular, which is kind of what I would, compare it to in the first act. And so that's really the only little piece of lightheart. Otherwise, it's pretty heavy. And I think for me, maybe that's what I'm feeling too, is just like the heaviness of the second one and if you haven't just watched the first movie, then it's really
which I did.
It's not really balanced out.
I had just watched the first movie though when I went to see this, and it did help. It did kind of. I think I felt less of the disconnect than some folks have been communicating that they did. But I did sit and watch the movie. I literally was in my car on my iPad outside the theater.
Finishing it up?
Getting the last 30 minutes or 40 minutes of it. I had done it in like 3 segments, and I was getting the last 30 to 40 minutes of it literally sitting in my car on the iPad before I walked in. So, and I think it definitely helped, and I understand that it is darker and it is messier, and it's not clean like the first one is, and there's not a lot of new stuff other than the political stuff, and a lot of people didn't go to a musical to hear all the political stuff. I'm curious, does the movie, does this, not the first one, but this one by itself, does it make you wish that we could spend a little more time in Oz, like a third movie or something?
I've been wondering about that because, I mean, there's been speculation, right? Because the author did write several other Wicked. I think I'm always ready to go back to Oz, maybe. So I think I would be interested in seeing that. I would be curious to know how that would all work out, because I mean, obviously there's source material, but it's not musical theater source material. So it would have to be a new creation.
As a person who loved the books, I ate the books up and currently own them in hardback. And I don't own a lot of hardbacks. I've gotten most of my books down to just the sets that mean something to me. The next 2 books don't have much to do with the Good Witch, and very little with Elphaba. The next book is about a person who's probably Elphaba's son, and then we get So I don't know how they would do it. We would lose a lot of our characters that we want. It did leave me wanting more. But I'm not sure how you do it, both for the reasons that you said, and the fact that even this material we could go to really is completely different storylines.
I've got it, Mark. Let's do Return to Oz, You know, that 80s funky
Mhm.
Return to Oz? Let's
That
do
was an odd
that
one.
as a musical. Let's
That would be
let's do
fun,
that.
actually.
Yeah, you know, she
Yeah.
escapes the electrocution chair and goes to Oz, and that one might be kind of fun. You know,
Yeah.
Sweeney
I
Todd kind of
kind of
vibe. I don't.
yeah.
I think I
I
could
kind
do
of
it.
like it. I kind of like it. So I'm curious, what character's arc did you feel like was the most satisfying in part two?
I think. I think. I guess. I guess Fiero's.
Mm,
You know that. That we get to see him kind of come from someone who's kind of complicit with the administration, so to speak, and with the path that is being laid out for him, but ultimately sympathetic to Elphaba, to someone who's like able to live into his truth
right.
as he gives up kind of the comfort to be with Elphaba,
Yeah.
for to stand for who he is, what he believes in, all of that. So I think I'd say Fiero. How about you?
I think for me it was easily hands down Glinda. I
Mhm.
think that her movement from
Yeah.
un, almost from her quiet willingness to be a part of the system, but
Yeah.
also her kind of naive recognizing that she's part of the system,
Yeah.
being opened up to everything that Elphaba was doing, and beginning to recognize the role that she played in it, and moving on to a space where she, by the end of it, we get that Glinda is still playing the role, but isn't satisfied about it. And I think that's part of why I would love a third movie, because
Mm.
I want to see who Glinda becomes,
Mhm.
because we leave with her still kind of in the system,
Right.
but
Yeah.
100% sympathetic to
Mhm.
Elphaba, and clearly understanding that she's part of the problem.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I would like to see
Yeah.
more. I have to say, your answer is intriguing to me, because that's the character that I wish I'd seen more screen time from.
Yeah.
I felt like we got sold short on his character development, because I'm with you. I
Yeah.
really liked it, and
Yeah.
I suspect that if we had gotten a little more from him,
Yeah.
he may have been my favorite arc of a character. I
Yeah.
just felt like I only got like little snippets of it, and
Yeah.
it wasn't as satisfying as I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Is that fair? I don't know.
No, I think it is. You know, the other thing about kind of these characters is all of the characters that end up integrating into the original Wizard of Oz narrative. I
Mm,
In the play, those are kind of humorous,
mm,
kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge. This is what's
yeah.
happening here, and this is all going.
Mm,
And I would say that I don't think that quite communicated or translated, I guess, on screen in the same way.
yeah.
It wasn't really very, it wasn't funny,
Yeah. And
in the
particularly the
same way.
second part. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that piece, there wasn't as much wink, wink, nod, nod. It's like,
Not enough.
"Okay, and
Yeah.
here's the Tin Man, and
Yeah.
here's the Scarecrow,"
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
and so I kind of felt like that about all of them, actually,
I think that's
that we
fair.
could have used a little bit more
Yeah, that's
there.
fair. All right, final question. We are
Yeah.
really out of time, but we'll make it real quick. Do you think that they stuck the landing emotionally, or did you kind of feel emotionally that you wanted more?
Emotionally, I felt like they stuck the landing. I
Yeah.
think that Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande have done such a good job with these characters, and it seems like pretty much everyone agrees, like, yeah, they
Mm,
nailed these characters, that like, when they're standing there and they're singing "For Good" to each other, like, you're like, "Oh,
mm.
yeah, these 2, they've been changed for good."
Right.
Yes. And so,
Exactly, man.
yeah, the, emotional weight of it, actually, that song in particular being at the very end, you know, towards the end of the movie, obviously, is kind of what really drew me back in, and it
I
was the
agree.
emotional weight of the movie, actually, that made me
Yeah.
say, "Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, this story is
Honestly,
really good."
yeah. Up to that song,
Yeah.
I was sitting there going, I don't know if it's just my day that I've
Yeah.
had, but this movie's not hitting me emotionally.
Yeah.
It's
Same,
I'm
actually.
very
Yeah.
entertained. I'm
Yeah.
enjoying it enough, but emotionally it's not hitting.
Mm.
Now they started singing, and then it was just
Yeah.
constant, like
Yeah.
wiping
Yeah.
the side
Yes.
tears off.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, okay, they got me.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have been so bold with my. They're not getting me emotionally.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So
But
anyway,
we both said too that like when we talked about the first part, like what are we looking forward to? And for good. Well, obviously them singing for good.
for good.
So
Right.
they didn't disappoint.
Yeah, not at all. Okay. We have gone on a little over on this segment, so let's take a quick drop and come back on the other side and talk a little bit about the theology and politics of the show.
Welcome back to the Moonshine Jesus Show. We're moving into our Theopolitico segment, and there are a lot of theological and political themes in this second movie in particular. And so I think I want to start here, Mark.
Yeah.
So Elphaba becomes the Wicked Witch of the
Yeah.
West in this movie. And I'm curious, is Elphaba an activist or an insurgent? What's the political difference between those two?
Oh, geez. I think there's times where there's thin lines between the two,
Mhm.
for sure. And it depends on which side of that line you're standing on, or which one you think a person is.
Mhm.
For me, she's an activist,
Yeah.
and I think that's like the "No Place Like Home" song is the one that made it clear to me that that's at least and who they believe this character is.
Mhm.
Very much there saying there's a whole group of folks being treated in the way they shouldn't be treated, and I'm going to do and make whatever sacrifices it takes to make a change here and to demand that the system be healthier and better at not marginalizing and rather including and celebrating all people. So I'm going to kind of fudge on this and say the definition of them depends on which side you're standing on.
Yeah.
And in this particular movie, I think the viewer is being asked to stand on the side where you would see her more as an activist. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think whether you're liberator or freedom fighter depends on what side you're on, right? But
All right.
yeah, I think the one thing is that she is nonviolent, and I think that puts her pretty solidly in
much.
the activist side, and she's primarily spreading messages and trying to spread the truth. I do think the kind of this is my theological mind, of course, as we always have it turned on while I was sitting there watching this, as I was thinking about like the difference between Jesus and the Jesus movement. And then like 30 years later, whenever there were the Jewish revolts in the 60s of the Common Era against Rome that were violent revolts. And so how scholars talk about how in the Gospels, Jesus is crucified next to the two thieves, right? Which is really freedom fighters, right? The liberty. And so it's kind of a commentary of putting Jesus, the non-violent revolutionary, against the two violent insurrectionists and kind of comparing and contrasting those. And so I think that like that's the political difference. Whether you're an activist or an insurgent is your means, your methods. And so I think Elphaba, I agree with you. I think she's solidly in the activist, but I do think that there's a political difference. I think that that's maybe important for us to remember in this time period. So another question, maybe. I don't know if there's anything to revolt violently or non-violently against, but yeah. So I'm curious, speaking of modern times, in what ways does the Wizards regime mirror modern disinformation campaigns? Do we have disinformation campaigns? What do those look like?
No, fortunately, most of what we get exposed to is truth telling, and so that's
absolutely, because Trump has taken out all the fake news.
Absolutely, and that's the best, and we can all be thankful for that. For me, I think the Wizard represents Fox News. That's my take on it. He is the conservative talking head who spins things in whatever way and puts up the big fake everything, just to try to manipulate people into doing what he believes needs to happen and serves his purposes and serves all of the well-to-do in Oz. So that's who I see him as being. You can also make the argument that he is sort of Trump as well, that he's manipulating people intentionally for his own self-service. But I don't know. For me, it particularly with the giant talking head, it just makes so much sense that he's one of the talking heads on television, right?
I mean, who knew that 100 years later that
Wow.
talking head thing would
That's
really
nuts, right?
just play?
All right. Man, that was one sharp writer, that's for sure, man. And so much of what he wrote about was right on the nose.
Yeah, and I think you're exactly right that we see a lot of intentional disinformation campaigns. There's a lot of intentional manipulation of information to manipulate people.
Oh,
and and I think we certainly see that in terms of the far right media, as you mentioned, that anything that is anti-Trump is all of a sudden fake news. And I think
yeah. I mean, and there's the parallel that the big point of the fake news that's being offered here is to specifically marginalize a group of people or of animals in this case that the powerful are worried about or fearful of, who are trying to minimize so that who they are, the people that are spreading the falsehoods, can be the superior, even though it doesn't play out that should ever be the case. So, I mean, it's exactly what's going on. It's frightening, man. How much humanity just repeats this stupid ass story.
Yes, right. Like, could we ever learn?
Right. I mean, a person writing 100 years ago sees it clearly, so clearly, and writes about it so well that even being filtered through another set of books and a musical and then made into a movie, it still hits the target right bullseye. I mean, it's frightening, man.
Yeah, it is frightening. And so one of the things you mentioned is how animals are blamed because they're dangerous, right? So I'm curious, we kind of know who gets scapegoated in Wicked. What contemporary groups do we see facing the same kind of treatment by Fox News, by the political administration, all of that?
I mean, the very first one, just because of the animal language and the language that's being used, we have to look to immigrants, because one of the ways that for 100 years conservatives have been marginalizing immigrants is by making them less than human, calling them insects, calling them rodents, using animal language to kind of pull away their humanity from them. So that's clearly one of the groups. But we both know that the LGBTQ plus community is clearly one of the ones that they are scared of and are marginalizing as hard as they can. Anyone who comes from a culture that is not white Western Christian is going to get marginalized or tried to be marginalized in some way, because for whatever reason, they genuinely consider them a threat. Whereas the facts and the data show very clearly that they all improve our society. They make us more capable of handling all of the weird stuff that life throws at you, and gives us a theological even perspective that their experience could make us all better than the folks who don't have those experiences. So I still to this day find, as much work as you and I both do in analyzing and thinking about and looking at the folks who are marginalizing others and trying to understand why, I still find it baffling that you're so scared of a person that's not like you that you can't see the benefits of the equality, of how that improves all of society and it lifts all boats, so to speak. It just blows my mind, man.
It blows my mind too, and I think you're right on. I mean, it's right. It's any marginalized group. I think
Mhm.
you're especially we are seeing this with immigrants and with the
Mhm.
weaponization of ICE. And
Absolutely.
as you pointed out, this is something that we see across authoritarian regimes wherever it
Around the
is
world.
in the
Yeah.
world, that you demonize the outsiders. And
Yeah.
so whenever outsiders are demonized, that should be setting off alarm bells. Ding, ding, ding.
Right.
Something is going wrong here. We're headed to fascism. So
Mhm.
I wish we could recognize that a little quicker as a society. So
Yeah.
I want to ask you something. A question I think that's raised in Wicked,
Mhm.
and that is kind of about being good. And I guess I'm curious if you can be quote unquote good in a system that rewards complicity and punishes justice. Can you be good?
I'm assuming that's a rhetorical question, man. No, of course not, man. What you're being is complicit. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not actually using any kind of a moral. You are allowing your actions to be fully defined by how much the outcome serves you, and
Yeah.
how so. If anything, you're being docile by
Yeah.
staying in a system that marginalizes and hurts other folks, and you're good within that system. That means that you're not challenging the system, and you're allowing it to survive in spite of the fact that it's hurting people. And if you're in it allowing something to hurt people, I don't think by anyone's definition are you good, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right. That when we're in systems that oppress others, then we have an obligation to stand up to those. And also at the same time, there we all participate in a system that ultimately is oppressive of
of course,
others. And so, like, for instance, it's like, can you buy groceries or go out to eat in a way that doesn't funnel money directly into the Republican Party?
right?
I don't
We
know. It's
make
really hard.
It's really
You
hard.
know,
You make choices. You have to
you
make
make
choices, right?
choices. Yes,
And
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 then
I, and I think that's one of the
yeah,
things that this movie does particularly
yeah,
well, even with its ending. It
yeah,
shows you that all of this, the resisting, the outcome
yeah,
is messy, and it's
yeah.
not clean, and it's
Mm.
not neat. The ending of this, I mean, they're literally going out into a desert. I mean, it's
Right.
the metaphorical visual. This is all messy and dirty and
Yeah,
difficult, and
yeah,
that's something I think is important to keep in mind, both of why someone would think they're good and stay inside the system,
yeah,
because you're risking a lot to go outside the
mm,
system, but
yeah,
also how brave and bold the people who do challenge systems are, because the outcome is almost never clean and neat and easy. It's almost always damaging and hurtful and difficult and ugly and messy. And that's the one thing. Well, the
mm,
ending of this movie in a lot of ways can feel on the surface not satisfying.
yeah.
I think it was so real, so
Mm,
honest, which I
mhm.
kind of loved about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. And I would love to chat more because there are a lot of
Mm.
theological and political themes here. But
Mhm.
if I do, then we
Mm.
won't get to our favorite segment, the Make Me Look Stupid
Indeed.
segment. And we've got to get to that. So
Of
why don't we take a
course.
break, take a drink, and come back and try to make each other look stupid?
Welcome to our Make Me Look Stupid segment. It's a segment where we try to make our co-hosts look stupid, either by asking them a question they don't know the answer to, um, or have them make a prediction that they're probably going to be horribly wrong about, or maybe being a little more gracious and recognizing that maybe we don't understand something and we want them to answer it, which would ultimately make us look stupid as well. So I am not going to be the gracious host and let you go first. I have a question for you.
Okay.
That has been in my mind ever since the ending of the movie. At the end of the movie, I think it's kind of a fun little Easter egg tip of the hat when they very briefly recreate the famous Broadway poster of
Yeah.
Glinda whispering into Elphaba's ear. My question to you is, what did she whisper?
What did she whisper?
Yeah.
I think she whispered something sweet like you're my best friend. You're my best friend, Elfie, or something like that. Is it in the books? Do you know what she whispered?
No, it's
No,
hard to
no.
say. It's not in the books. This is a
Okay.
very creative.
That's-
Yeah. So
Then in that case, that's what I'm going with. What do
All
you
right.
think she whispered, Mark?
I think she did whisper. Like I think she said, "My friend who matters most.
Yeah.
I finally understand. Thank you."
Mm, mm.
That's what I want it to be anyway.
Yeah.
Something like that. That
She's
feels
probably like-
appropriate for that space.
She's probably like, Fiero's a hunk. He's
Could have
mine.
been that.
He's
It could have-
mine.
Could have been that, but definitely. All right. I appreciate you playing along with that. What question do you have for me?
I want to know, Mark. So my wife and I were having a debate, and so it's one of my favorite things to draw other people into debates, household debates.
I'm gonna want to know what her answer is because that's the one I'm picking.
I think maybe we agreed. I can't actually remember
Okay.
where we went, and maybe it was more of a conversation. But I want to know: do you think? Well, actually, my wife doesn't like the Wizard of Oz, and I love the Wizard of Oz. And
What part of all of it?
she doesn't like the story. She doesn't like any of it. She doesn't like the movie. Yeah, she's not. So you sure you want to agree with her?
You just made it a lot more difficult. That's for sure.
Do you think the Wizard of Oz could ever be remade into a movie? Should it be remade? Is it time for a time to remake that one? You know, Hollywood's all about remakes. Never.
I'm not
remade
big
the
on
Wizard of
remaking
Oz.
classics.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think Wicked is kind of the sign that yes, I think it is time to remake it, and I think you should use these characters,
Yeah.
these
From-
actors.
From these. Yeah.
I think
so-
that might be the perfect third movie.
Oh, well, there you go. So my position
Like we would get in
was
between the scenes of what we've already watched with these
with the
and
characters.
see how they even cuts in between the movies, the two that we have,
Yeah.
to kind of show some of the background before
Yeah.
we cut back to the
Yeah.
Wizard of Oz storyline. It might be. I'm in.
I might be
I'm in.
game because I mean maybe you've convinced me because my position was that like I think there are some movies that you just can't remake and
I agree, and that's how I usually feel about classics.
because like I was trying to explain to her the beauty of the Wizard of Oz. I'm like, here it is that not much been shot in Technicolor here, and you've got all this black and white, and you go into the movie theater and you open up. She opens that door and it's in beautiful color. I'm like, it's incredible. Like, how do you recreate that in this this modern day? But I mean, maybe with these characters that we've already fallen in love with these actors, maybe I
kind of feel like
that.
it's-
I would go see it. I think
I would too. And the original movie isn't fully reflective of the early books. There are parts of the books that they felt like were too political and that they left out of this because those are actually very political books. I think it would give an opportunity in a world that's in desperate need of that message of recreating it while you got an entire audience who are more than willing, almost begging to have more of our core characters. I want the witches back I want Scarecrow back. I want,
Yeah.
and I mean, I want them back.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd even get Nessa back for a little while.
We would. Yes, until
I mean, at
what
least for the first
unfortunate luck.
10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know. I think when you first asked the question, my gut instinct was no. I think I'm in. I think I'm in.
Okay. Okay. I think you've convinced me because last night I was saying I would never go see that. But you know what? The way you described it, I think
Who
I would
knows?
be in to go see it, you know?
It would at least be curious, right?
It would be. It would be interesting to see
Yeah.
how they
All
make it
right. Well,
happen.
clearly we could go on and on about Wizard of Oz and Wicked and the whole everything, but we don't. We need to stick to our timeline, but we
Yes.
also need to come up with something for our next show. And you mentioned something early before pre-show as we were getting ready that I think sounds. Yeah, this is clearly what we need to do, right?
What we've got to do. Stranger Things is dropping this Wednesday, and
Yeah.
it's the first 4 episodes, right? And then
Yep.
there's going to be another drop right before Christmas. and
On
another one
Christmas.
On Christmas.
On
another
Christmas.
one. Another
New
one.
Year's,
Is
I
it New
think.
Year's Eve? New Year's Day?
I
Something
think
like
that's
that?
right. It's something like that.
Yeah.
And each
so
of
3
these, as
segments.
you pointed out to me as we were starting, each of these are nearly feature length, if not fully feature length films. So
Yeah.
we're going to do the first 4 next week, which means 8 hours of Stranger Things.
That's
Which
a lot, man.
The 8 sounds like a lot, and then you say Stranger Things, and I get real excited about I get 8 hours of Stranger Things.
I know. I'm so excited. We've been going back through and my favorite season so far has been season 3, the one with
Yeah.
like the Russians under the mall. I just think that's the
That
most
was so
80s thing
campy and
ever. I just love that season.
Yeah, it definitely was.
And everyone's still together. So we started. So I like season 3 and then season 4 the best. I like those a little better than the first 2. So we started there, and I've got one more episode to watch, but
Wow.
to refresh my memory, and then I'm ready to go into Wednesday.
I am impressed. I will admit I will be going to YouTube and looking for recaps. I am not going to be rewatching whole series of it. I don't have that kind of time. I want to though.
Well, this is
don't think it's
one of
gonna
the things my wife and I can agree on. This is one of the shows that we don't like a lot of the same kind of shows.
I get
but
that.
we do
I get
both
that.
like Stranger Things. So we've been watching that together, and so it's
Fantastic. We do
Yeah.
too. Yeah. So I hear it loud and clear. All right. With that said, we will encourage you all to take a little bit of your holiday downtime and invest it into one of the best series that's ever been put on streaming venues. So and it's so good. And honestly, if you haven't watched the first 4 years of it, you really can just go to YouTube and watch a recap and catch up enough that you could really enjoy this with us. So we encourage you to do that. Use a little bit of your downtime to kind of just veg out and enjoy this. Come back next week on the Moonshine Jesus Show, and we'll all talk about it a little bit. It should be fun. And finally, just thank you all. We hope you have a great Thanksgiving week. We appreciate you so much. You are definitely one of the things that Caleb and I are the most thankful about. Because of you, we get to do this show, and it makes us so dang happy. So we appreciate you very much. All of that said, we'll see you next time on the Moonshine Jesus Show.